First up, Chiney, you heard Chris Paul. Some people are just built for fourth quarters there. Who would you rather have in tonight's Game 7, CP3 or Harden?
You know, I'm always the one that's always taking the jump ball, so I love this. I would want Harden just because I would not be able to land back in Bush Intercontinental Airport if I said otherwise. I'm not doubting CP3. We all know Chris Paul is a leader, but James Harden, if he can play his brand of basketball and really take the next step of hearing the narrative, hearing the noise, and delivering to me, that's why I'd take Harden, because I think we all saw what happened with Game 6, and he won't want that to happen again.
I think they actually fly to Hobby, though, Chiney. But I got to tell you,
doesn't.
James
She's
Harden's
the one who couldn't
history. That's true. That's true. James Harden history in Game 7's not good, not good. And so the pressure is on him. Now, I will say this. I think it's more likely for James Harden to put up 40 points in the first 3 quarters, build a lead, and not have to worry about crunch time. So I'm going to say James Harden. But if it gets to crunch time, Chris Paul is going to have the mental edge in this big game for James Harden tonight.
I love how even in those little like little pictures they've got in those little boxes there, Chris is doing that little snarl. That's Chris Paul in the fourth quarter. Next up, which team do you think has the most trustworthy supporting cast, the Thunder or the Rockets? And Brian, this means basically anyone not named James Harden, Chris Paul, or Russell Westbrook.
Well, I mean, yes. I mean, Houston, in theory, Houston should have the better supporting cast. If you look at how Robert Covington and P.J. Tucker and Eric Gordon fit and are paid, they should have the better supporting cast. So I'll go with them, but I don't know if I would bet with them.
You see, the thing is, Rachel, I thought supporting cast was just taking the top 2 players like Chris Paul and James Harden. Russell Westbrook has to accept the role of supporting cast because clearly in Game 6, it didn't work out when he had the ball in his favor down the stretch. So now you have to, if there is a crunch time moment, I would want James Harden. He's going to be a part of that supporting cast. As Brian said, it's not just, Russell Westbrook, though. It's Jeff Green, it's Eric Gordon, guys that have a higher ceiling if they play well. If Eric Gordon plays well and can knock down baskets, at least in this game, I know it's been a struggle for him consistently. These guys are top-tier players for their team and for what they need them to do. Jeff Green, we've been talking about him early in the series. Like, as much as the supporting cast for OKC has made a name for themselves, the ceiling when it comes to the Rockets making shots is just different. It blows the top off. And so, of course, I got to stand by 290 crew.
There you go.
That's the highway.
I'm going to go out on, I guess this is a statistical limb. I think you will see more from James Harden in that fourth quarter today. I do agree with you, Chiney. I think he's heard the noise. Okay. So you won't have Russell Westbrook taking those shots at the end. I think we will have Harden taking them. We'll have to see what happens, though, which leads to this question, which is, next up, Brian, who is under more pressure tonight? Rockets general manager Daryl Morey or Rockets coach Mike D'Antoni? Both of their seats have gotten a little warm.
I think it's the whole Rockets organization, to be honest with you, but probably Daryl, because he wasn't able to extend D'Antoni before this season started. So D'Antoni is sort of an extension of that situation. Plus, this is the gamble that he took putting this team together. He's made a lot of moves with this roster, and this needs to work. And obviously, not just the midseason trade, but the Westbrook trade, which Harden was a part of. So everybody wearing red and white tonight is feeling that warmth under their seat.
And I'd have to agree, just because Coach D'Antoni came in, 2016. Daryl Morey was there about 10 years prior. And you mentioned, the iterations of the Rockets. I go back to having hope when Dwight Howard was on the squad, when Montrezl Harrell was on the squad, when Patrick Beverley was on the squad. And so, yeah, all these different iterations, and I think it's funny, Max Kellerman said it, it's not small ball, it's micro ball. Mm-hmm. Like, they've leaned all the way they could into this, and now we've seen all different versions of it. And now it's like, where are the results of all these experiments? So I think the pressure is on the GM just in this instance, because where do we go with the talent, a once-a-generational talent, an offensive talent in James Harden? What do we have to show for it? We've seen a lot of different switches, but what has worked? What tangible evidence do we have, like a championship or something?
I mean, look, let's be honest. The pressure has been on Daryl Morey since the whole China situation and what went on with the owner and what he tweeted afterward and all of this back and forth. I don't know if Daryl Morey should be held accountable for the Westbrook CP trade, since all the reporting has been that request came from James Harden and had organizational support, not only at the roster level from Harden, but at the ownership level as well. And so Daryl just went out and did it. But we also know that's not how big boy basketball works, that sometimes even if it wasn't your idea, you are held responsible for the result, which all comes down to tonight. So finally, who you got? Who wins Game 7, Chiney? Oklahoma City or Houston?
Let's go. This is our moment of hope, Houston. All right, Game 7 pressure's on. I don't know if we win the full championship, but at least can we say we have hope in this series? I'm picking Houston because 2 of the last 4 MVPs are on the same team. We've got Russell Westbrook and James Harden. We should be able to win a Game 7 in the first round.
I don't make predictions, but I predict that Scott Foster is the big winner tonight because somebody is going to not having to blame him anymore because the Rockets have lost their last 7 playoff games with Scott Foster officiating it. They have essentially blamed their Game 7 loss to the Warriors a few years ago on him, even though they missed 27 straight threes. They prepared a whole report blaming him.
A dossier.
And guess what? Scott Foster. A dossier, that's right. I so apologize, Rachel. Chris Paul has lost 9 consecutive games in the playoffs with Scott Foster, dating back to his Clipper days. So not everybody can blame Scott Foster. Scott Foster will get a victory for somebody tonight.
No, at least I have an excuse. I'm happy. We don't like curses in Houston. You saw what the little B curse was back in Houston. So
That's right. That's right.
It's one of the great refereeing assignments in NBA history tonight. I can compliment the league.
Absolutely, 100%. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.